Okay, so put on your travel shoes for this story because we're going south of the border, like way further south than you might think.
Hmm.
Past Mexico, past Panama. Keep going, past the equator even.
Right.
Keep heading south past Brazil, and eventually you'll hit Uruguay.
Tiny country, right. Compared to Brazil, anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Roughly the size of Missouri, actually. Beautiful place, apparently. Great culture, coastline. But also, surprisingly, a pretty advanced tech scene.
And that's where we're landing.
Yeah.
In Montevideo, the capital.
Precisely. Because this is where our deep dive begins. Picture this. February 2017,
Okay.
there's this really prominent medical provider in Uruguay. Big network, clinics all over Montevideo.
Right. A major player in their healthcare system.
And suddenly they find themselves in, well, a total nightmare scenario. A hacker got in.
Oof.
Through their website somehow. Gained access to their main database.
Oh, man. Patient records.
Yep. Stole a huge amount of sensitive patient records. Can you just imagine the panic, the IT teams, the lawyers? Must have been absolutely frantic.
Yeah, that's about as bad as it gets for a healthcare provider.
Yeah.
The tension must have been, well, yeah, unbearable.
And it gets worse. A week later, boom, ransom email hits their inbox.
Knew it. Classic move.
But this wasn't just some generic threat. The hacker proved they had the goods, you know? Demanded 15 bitcoins.
Okay. Standard enough, I guess. But what was the threat?
This is where it gets really, really nasty. The ultimatum was, pay up or we publicly release the patient details specifically of everyone who had HIV and cancer.
Oh, that's low. That's incredibly targeted. Maximum fear tactic.
Absolutely. And they added this little twist. The price goes up by 5 bitcoins every single day. They don't pay.
Wow. Just turning the screws. That's designed to force their hand fast.
Exactly. Leveraging that incredibly sensitive data. Now, what's kind of weird and a bit ambiguous from the reports is whether they actually paid. Some news articles said, yeah, they probably did. But someone close to the case later on mentioned something really odd.
What was that?
The ransom email, it didn't even have a Bitcoin address in it.
Wait, what? How are you supposed to pay then? That's bizarre for an extortion attempt. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? Like, what was the hacker's actual plan? Or maybe they weren't that sophisticated.
Right. It raises questions. But here's the crucial thing. Regardless of payment, those patient records, the really sensitive ones, they never got leaked, never saw the light of day.
Okay, so that's something, I guess.
Yeah.
But the provider must have been freaking out.
Oh, completely. They launched a massive internal investigation right away, pulled in the local police, full court press to find who did this.
Makes sense. You can't let that go.
And so after 7 months, 7 long, probably agonizing months of digging,
They got a lead.
they got their break. They managed to trace the IP address, you know, the digital breadcrumbs.
Yeah, the sender of the ransom email.
Exactly. Trace it right to an apartment in Montevideo.
Wow. Okay, so read time?
You bet. Police get the warrant, feeling pretty triumphant, I imagine.
Yeah.
They raid the apartment, and what they find inside just, well, it stuns them.
Stuns them how? What did they find?
Stunned, might be putting it mildly. The police reports literally called it a laboratory.
A laboratory.
Right.
Like beakers and stuff.
No, an electronics lab. Just tons of gear everywhere. Laptops piled up, stacks of cell phones, hard drives galore, crypto wallets, thumb drives, you name it.
Okay, that does sound pretty suspicious. Not your average apartment setup.
Not at all. It looked like, I don't know, like a command center. From the police perspective, they thought, bingo.
Yeah, they figured they hit the jackpot.
Totally.
Yeah.
They were convinced they hadn't just caught a hacker, but like a major cyber terrorist, someone behind potentially lots of hacks.
It's a big fish.
Exactly. So they arrest the guy living there, Alberto Hill, seize everything, cart him off to jail, evidence bags full.
Seems pretty straightforward from their point of view. Got the guy, got the gear.
Right. Seems like case closed. And here's where the whole story just flips on its head.
Uh-oh. What happened?
Alberto Hill, once he's arrested, facing all this mountain of evidence, he gives a verbal confession. Right then and there.
He confesses.
Yeah.
To the hack and the ransom email.
Admits it all. Hacking the provider, sending the email, done. Police are probably high-fiving each other. Case closed. Dangerous guy off the streets.
Okay. That sounds pretty final. So where's the twist?
The twist comes almost immediately after. The moment Alberto is away from those arresting officers, out of that intense pressure cooker situation,
Yeah.
he whispers something. Quietly, he says, "I did not do it. I didn't know it, and I am innocent."
Whoa. Okay, so coerced confession. or something else entirely. That changes everything.
Completely. It just pulls you down this rabbit hole. And that, for you, our listener, that's what we're doing today. We are going deep on Alberto's unbelievable story.
Right, trying to untangle what actually happened.
Exactly. We need to get past the headlines, the initial shock value. We're looking at the tech side, sure, the details of the hack, but also the human side, the justice system part.
And how those lines between, the good guys and the bad guys in cybersecurity can get incredibly blurry.
So blurry. Perception versus reality. We're digging into court documents, news reports, even Alberto's own words from interviews later on. We want you to understand not just what happened, but why it matters.
And maybe how the systems we trust to protect us can sometimes, get it wrong, with really devastating results.
Yeah. So let's start unpacking this. It's a fascinating and honestly pretty unsettling case.
All right, let's do it.
So, okay, when you hear hacker caught, tons of electronics, you probably get this picture in your head, right?
Yeah, kind of the movie stereotype. Hoodie, dark room, Cheeto dust everywhere.
Exactly. But then you look at Alberto Hill, he's 41, Uruguayan, and his actual background, it's like the polar opposite of that stereotype.
Okay, what did he do?
Get this. For 4 years leading up to all this, he was a security consultant for the Uruguayan government.
Seriously. So he was working for the system, not against it.
Precisely. His job was literally securing government systems, investigating malware, doing security audits, finding the weak spots before the bad guys did.
Okay, that's not what I expected. What about before that?
Before that, he worked with Interpol.
Interpol, the international police.
Yep. Specialized in digital forensics. So helping police investigate cybercrime, collect digital evidence. Again, totally on the defensive side.
Wow. Okay, so career-wise, he's consistently been on the good guy side of the fence.
Right. And academically, super solid. Associate's degree, engineering degree, master's degree, all computer stuff.
Yeah.
This isn't some script kiddie. He's formally educated, deep understanding.
He knows his stuff, basically.
Yeah, his stuff is an understatement, especially when it comes to cryptocurrencies.
The Bitcoin connection from the ransom note.
Exactly. He wasn't just dabbling. He'd written academic papers on crypto, given talks at big cybersecurity conferences like ICS2 in São Paulo, specifically about Bitcoin and security.
So he's a recognized expert in that field, too.
Seems like it. We're talking a 20-year career focused almost entirely on computer security, government, international police research. It was his life's work.
Definitely paints a different picture than basement hacker.
Totally. And then there are his certifications. He's a PMP project management professional.
Okay, that's interesting. Shows discipline, organization. Not easy to get, that one.
Right. But the really relevant one here, maybe the one that caused confusion later, he's a certified ethical hacker, a CEH.
The CEH. Yeah, I know about that one.
Yeah.
That's where you learn the attacker's tools, right?
Exactly. I'm a CEH myself, actually. The whole point is you learn how the bad guys think, what tools they use, their tactics, so you can build better defenses.
It's like knowing your enemy. Standard practice in InfoSec.
Totally standard. It doesn't mean you are a criminal. It means you're prepared against criminals.
Right. It's about defense through understanding offense.
Precisely. And this all ties into a core part of Alberto's personality, apparently. Something that's actually a huge asset in security work.
What's that?
It's just endless curiosity. He apparently said himself, something like, it's something you just can't control. It's stronger than you. I see a system and I just can't help but start looking at the source code. It's like a drug.
I know that feeling. That little itch you get. Wonder how this works. Wonder if it's a cure.
Exactly. That drive. So for Alberto, when he encountered a new system, especially something public-facing, he just couldn't help but, poke at it a little.
Check for open ports. Maybe try some default passwords.
Yeah.
The usual quick checks.
Yeah, basic stuff. And crucially, his history showed that when he found things, he reported them responsibly through the proper channels.
So, white hat behavior. Find a flaw, tell the owner so they can fix it.
Exactly, not exploit it for gain. Which brings us to the moment that really set this whole chain of events in motion, but not in the way you'd think.
Okay, lay it on me. What happened?
So rewind a bit. Back to 2015. 2 years before the big hack and ransom demand we talked about.
Got it. 2015.
It's a Saturday morning. Alberto's just chilling in bed, laptop out. He's helping his girlfriend log into her account on our medical provider's website, accessing her health records,
Okay, totally normal, everyday task.
Right, but then that curiosity kicks in. He's on their website, and he just starts doing his usual thing, poking around a little.
Just seeing if anything obvious jumps out?
Exactly. And what he finds is, it's staggering. just staggering.
Don't leave me hanging. What was it?
Almost as a joke, just out of habit, he tries the absolute classic that login everyone knows not to use, username.admin, password.admin.
No, seriously. Admin.
Admin, and it worked.
Get out on a major medical provider site in 2015.
Yep. Instant administrator access, full control. He wasn't just seeing his girlfriend's info anymore. He could see everything. Patient medical histories, medications, internal financial data, employee details. He could create users, delete users. Total root access.
Oh my God. That's beyond bad. That's catastrophic.
He said later, just thinking back, that was crazy. The sheer simplicity of it.
Crazy doesn't even cover it. Admin is a default. We've known that's terrible since, what, the 70s?
Pretty much. Like over 45 years, the industry has been screaming, don't do this, and yet there it was.
On a system holding sensitive health data. That's not just a vulnerability. That's negligence on a massive scale.
Yeah.
Severity level. That's a 10 out of 10, right?
Absolutely. Solid 10. Red alert. Stop everything. Fix this now. Kind of critical. It's probably the most infamous, easiest to exploit vulnerability there is, leaving the vault door wide open with the key in the lock.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So what did Alberto do? The guy with the government security background, the Interpol experience?
He did exactly what his training and ethics dictated, the textbook responsible disclosure move.
Okay, which is?
He immediately drafted an email, sent it straight to the CERT of Uruguay.
CERT, right, the Computer Emergency Readiness Team, the official government channel for reporting this kind of stuff.
Yep. They're the ones tasked with protecting critical systems, including healthcare. He laid it all out for them, found this massive hole, logged in with admin, here's how.
And he told them it was him who found it.
Critically, yes. He included his own IP address in the email. Total transparency. Basically saying, look, this was me, testing legitimately. This needs fixing urgently. I wasn't trying to hide.
Okay, that's brave. But also the correct procedure shows good intent. Did CERT respond?
Amazingly fast, actually. He said, 2 hours, they reply to me.
Wow. What did they say?
They confirmed it. Okay, it is confirmed. The admin problem is right. There is a big problem there.
So they acknowledged the severity. Good. Alberto must have felt relieved.
Huge relief. He'd done his part. The authorities knew. He mentioned he had a hunch, a gut feeling.
Yeah.
That the whole system was probably pretty weak, likely had other issues too. But, and this is key.
He didn't dig further.
Nope. He said he didn't do anything else. Didn't try to find more flaws, didn't download anything, didn't exploit it. He reported it, closed the laptop, and basically forgot about this.
Right. He did his ethical duty and moved on. That really underscores his position at the time. He wasn't trying to cause trouble.
Exactly. He acted like a professional security researcher. Okay, so now, fast forward 2 years.
Back to 2017, February.
Yep. And guess what? The exact same medical facility gets hacked again.
Seriously. After he reported that huge flaw, did they ever fix the admin thing?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We don't actually know for sure if this hack used the same vulnerability or a different one. Maybe they fixed admin but left other doors open. Maybe they didn't fix it at all.
Or maybe it was something completely new Alberto hadn't even spotted.
Could be. But regardless, this time it's the real deal. Records are stolen, the ransom email goes out, the one demanding 15 Bitcoin, threatening to expose HIV in cancer patients.
A really nasty one. Okay.
So the medical provider calls the cops again. The police launch Operation Bitcoins to catch this new hacker.
And they investigate for 7 months, you said?
7 months. Painstaking work, tracing digital signals, and eventually their investigation leads them to issue search warrants for 2 people.
And one of them is?
Alberto Hill.
Oh, man. So they connected the 2017 hack back to him somehow. Or they just found his previous access from 2015?
It seems they traced the ransom email IP address to his apartment. That was their justification. But Alberto, he's completely blindsided.
How so?
Police show up at his door, but he's not even home. They leave a note. He gets it, goes down to the station with his girlfriend and a buddy, totally confused. He literally thought it might be about some computer parts he'd ordered from China that got flagged by customs or something.
He had no idea it was about the hack.
Zero clue. So when the police finally bring up the medical provider...
He probably thinks, oh, they just want to talk about my 2015 report.
Exactly. He said it was such a relief. He thought, okay, simple misunderstanding. I'll just explain what I found back then, how I reported it to CERT.
So he spills everything about the 2015 admin discovery.
Tells them the whole story, openly, honestly. How he found it, how he reported it, because from his perspective, I had nothing to hide about that. He was just cooperating.
But the police aren't thinking about 2015, are they? They're thinking about the 2017 ransom email.
Bingo! The tone shifts. They pull out a copy of that threatening 2017 email. Ask him straight up, did you send this?
And he denies it, obviously.
Repeatedly. No, absolutely not. Wasn't me. But the police think they have him cornered.
Because of the IP address.
Yep. They pull out their trump card. We have paperwork from the internet company. Says this email was sent from your IP.
Ouch. That looks bad. How does Alberto react?
He's just stunned. Disbelieving. He says it's impossible. He doesn't accuse them of lying, but inside he knows it can't be right.
But the police, having just heard him admit to accessing the system back in 2015, which they probably now see as a prior hack.
Right. They're now super suspicious. His denial about the email doesn't ring true to them, so just to be safe, they hold him overnight in jail.
Wow. Okay. Things escalated quickly. From cooperating witness to prime suspect held overnight.
And it gets worse. Next morning, they don't release him. They put him in a police car, drive him to his apartment.
For the raid.
For the full raid, police put on the latex gloves. They walk in and start tearing the place apart, documenting everything. And what they find just confirms all their suspicions.
Laboratories.
The laboratory. Stickers, Bitcoin books, keychains. Evidence he was buying and selling Bitcoin, machines that could clone chips and cards, blank cards, stuff bought from China. It just screams hacker hideout to them.
Okay, I can see how that would look bad, especially the cloning stuff.
And this is where that thin gray line becomes a massive canyon of misunderstanding. They see hacker gear. Alberto sees his research tools and personal effects.
Let's break it down. What specific things did they find and what were his explanations? This seems crucial.
Totally crucial. Okay, first, the cash. They found about $1,400 US euros, 8,000 euros, some Brazilian reals, some Uruguayan pesos. Adds up to maybe $13,000 US equivalent.
Which the police thought was a suspiciously large amount of cash to have lying around.
Yep. Suspected proceeds of crime. Alberto's explanation. The local currencies made sense. He traveled. The euros. He sold a couple of Bitcoin to a tourist when BTC price was high. Totally normal transaction for a crypto guy. US dollars, same thing. Bitcoin operations. All legit, he claimed.
Okay, plausible for someone active in crypto. What else?
The hard drives, about 50 of them.
50? Okay, yeah, that sounds excessive. Police probably thought they were full of stolen data.
Exactly. Alberto's explanation, he bought broken ones super cheap on eBay for research. He was working on a paper about data recovery, what info you could still get off supposedly dead drives.
Forensic research.
Yeah.
Again, sounds niche but legitimate for his field. But looks weird out of context.
Totally.
Yeah.
Then 7 laptops.
Police thinking. 1 for each illegal operation.
Pretty much. Alberto's explanation, like a lot of tech folks, he just keeps his old machines, uses them for testing different operating systems, software security setups, practical for experimentation.
I mean, I've got a few old laptops lying around myself. 10 cell phones, though.
Yeah, 10 cell phones. Police instantly think burner phones.
Right, for anonymous communication.
Alberto's explanation. Same as the laptops, just old phones he'd accumulated over years and never threw out. Again, relatable for tech orders.
Okay, USB drives. 16 of those.
Police assumption. Storing illegal data, maybe viruses. Alberto's explanation. Some were for storage, yeah, but many were specialized devices like rubber duckies, bash bunnies.
Penetration testing tools.
Nah.
Used to simulate attacks or automate tasks.
Exactly. And his justification was spot on for a security pro. You have to know what tools the hackers use in order to protect yourself. Research and learning.
Makes perfect sense in the industry. Looks terrible to law enforcement who don't know the difference. What about the Bitcoin wallets? A whole stack of them.
Police. Clear sign of a major crypto criminal hiding funds. Alberto. Simple. He was an official reseller for Ledger, the French hardware wallet company. That was his inventory for his legitimate side business.
Okay, that explains the quantity, but this next one, this sounds bad. A credit card cloner and 125 blank cards.
Yeah, this one really set off alarms. Police saw it and immediately thought, stolen card numbers, cloning onto blanks, fraud.
Hard to argue with that initial reaction, honestly.
Right. But Alberto explained he was doing research on chip and pin security, testing vulnerabilities. He pointed out the cloner hardware is legal, easy to get hotels, use similar things for key cards. The malicious software is the illegal part. And the cards, totally blank, unused.
Still, looks incredibly suspicious without deep context. What about the 30-old credit cards?
Police! More fraud evidence. Alberto, they were all his old expired cards with his name on them. He just collected them since 1995. A weird personal quirk.
Okay, that's odd, but maybe not criminal. The guillotine. What was that?
Huh. This one's almost funny if it wasn't so serious. Police thought it was some kind of, I don't know, document forging device. Or worse. Alberto's mom apparently found the reaction hilarious.
So what was it?
A paper cutter. Just a standard office paper cutter. The brand name happened to be Guillotine.
Oh, for crying out loud, seriously?
Seriously. And the final nail in the coffin for the police. An anonymous mask hanging on his wall.
The Guy Fawkes mask. Yep, classic hacker movie trope.
Police saw it as undeniable proof. The smoking gun. The super criminal signature. Alberto's explanation. He collected hacker culture stuff. T-shirts, stickers, memorabilia from conferences. That mask was just part of his collection. He said when he realized that was considered the final proof, he just felt the sense of absurd despair.
Wow. So every single piece of evidence had a potentially legitimate, if sometimes niche, explanation tied to his profession or hobbies.
Yeah.
But the collection of it all.
Exactly. The cumulative picture, seen through the eyes of police officers who likely had little cybersecurity background, looked damning. Alberto tried desperately to explain item by item as they were pulling his apartment apart.
But they weren't listening.
Nope. They were getting more excited, more convinced they had their guy. It went on for hours, just relentless pressure. Then around 1 p.m., a new officer shows up. Seems more senior, more authoritative.
Okay, what does he do?
Talks with the other cops, then pulls Alberto aside and delivers the ultimatum. The chilling threat.
What did he say?
According to Alberto, the officer basically said, confess you did it. Otherwise, they would go and do the same they were doing in my house with my girlfriend and with my mother.
Whoa. Threatening his family.
Yeah.
That's intense coercion.
Totally. Alberto's trapped. He's thinking, agonizing. Okay. If I just say I sent the email, they don't actually have any proof, no IP linking me for real. I can sort this out in court later.
He thought he could retract the confession once he had lawyer and proper proceedings.
Yeah. He figured the actual evidence, or lack thereof, would exonerate him eventually. He just needed to stop the immediate psychological pressure, protect his girlfriend, protect his mom.
It's an impossible choice. Risk everything now or hope the system works later.
So, under duress, feeling cornered, he gives in, he verbally confesses, okay, I sent the email.
Oh, man. And the immediate result, did it stop the pressure?
The immediate result was devastatingly ironic. Right after he confesses, the police bring his girlfriend to the apartment.
Why?
Presumably to see him caught, maybe pressure her too. She walks in, sees Alberto handcuffed, looking terrible. And in that moment, the police arrest her too.
No. His confession was meant to protect her.
Exactly. It backfired completely. His attempt to shield her led directly to her own arrest, despite zero evidence against her.
That's just brutal. So they're both taken away.
Both taken away. Alberto goes straight to court, same day.
It must have been chaotic.
He described it as incredibly frustrating. He said they were asking him questions that were just irrelevant. Why? Because of the lack of knowledge about computers that the judge and the prosecutor have.
They just didn't get it. Didn't understand the tech, the tools, the context.
He lamented they hardly know what an IP address was. Imagine trying to defend yourself in a complex cyber case when the court barely understands the basics. It's like trying to explain quantum physics using finger puppets.
That paints a scary picture of the justice system's preparedness for digital crime. Any specific examples of this lack of understanding?
Oh, yeah. He gave a couple that are just wild. The prosecutor holds up one of his USB drives and asks, dead serious, in this pen drive, you have 12 viruses. How do you explain that?
Oh, come on. Did he try to explain malware analysis, sandboxing?
He thought about it, then just gave up. His internal reaction was like, oh my God, no, I don't want to waste my time explaining this. He knew it was futile, so he just sighed and said, I'm sorry, I had viruses. Easier than fighting that battle.
Just conceded the point because it was simpler. Tragic. Any others?
Yeah, the prosecutor apparently fixated on another USB device. And you had a USB kill. What's a device that has a name of kill?
The USB killer.
Yeah.
A hardware testing tool that fries ports.
Exactly. Alberto instantly regretted even mentioning it during the raid. He'd tried to warn the cops not to plug it into anything, but they'd just blown him off. Now it was being presented as some kind of weapon. Every attempt he made to clarify just seemed to make him look guiltier in their eyes.
So between the mountain of hacker gear, his own acknowledged expertise in security and Bitcoin, and that coerced confession,
the court just couldn't see past it. The explanations, the context, the nuances of ethical hacking versus criminal hacking all lost. They saw a capable guy surrounded by scary tools who admitted guilt.
So the verdict was?
Guilty. Extortion and fraudulent access to secret information.
And the sentence?
Prison. Long-term prison. Alberto Hill became the very first person convicted and imprisoned for hacking in the entire history of Uruguay.
Wow. First ever. That's significant. Must have been huge news.
Massive news. He said it felt like the end of the world. And the media went absolutely wild. The police fueled it, setting up this big press conference.
What did they do?
Lined up everything they seized on a giant table. Laptops, phones, USBs, the blank cards, the cloners, the routers. And right in the middle, that anonymous mask, a perfect photo op.
Creating the perfect narrative. Dangerous hacker caught.
Exactly. Hyped it up massively. Portrayed him as this evil genius stealing patient data. The story was simple, sensational, and played right into public fears and stereotypes. By the time Alberto actually got to the prison, he was infamous.
So what was prison like for him as the country's first convicted hacker?
It was surreal. The other inmates recognized him instantly from the news. He said they were like, "Oh my God, you're my hero. I want to be like you. Can you hack my girlfriend's Facebook?"
Seriously. They saw him as some kind of anti-hero.
Yeah, it highlighted this huge disconnect between the public media portrayal and the legal system's view. He realized just how big the case had become in the press.
But the reality of being there must have been grim. Who was he actually locked up with?
That was the shock. He said they were a completely different profile. Serious offenders, sexual offenders, killers, drug dealers, people that commit very violent crimes. It was a world he never thought I could be in. Utterly alien.
Must have been terrifying. Did he just keep his head down?
Well, initially, the warden had a strict rule. Alberto, the hacker, wasn't allowed near any computers. At all.
Makes sense from their perspective, I guess.
Right.
Paranoid.
But Alberto's actual behavior, his character, must have impressed them. Because within just 3 months, he'd earned enough trust to be teaching basic computer skills like Microsoft Word to other inmates in a room with 7 internet-connected computers.
Wow. From too dangerous to touch a keyboard to teaching classes in 3 months. That says a lot about him, doesn't it?
Yeah.
His actual conduct versus the conviction.
It really does. Suggests he wasn't the monster they portrayed him as, but the damage wasn't just to him. What about his girlfriend?
Right, she got arrested too. What happened to her?
She was only held overnight, thankfully. The police had literally 0 evidence against her, so they had to release her, but her ordeal was just starting.
How so? The interrogation.
Brutal. Police apparently lied to her, told her Alberto confessed everything and blamed her, said she was the mind behind everything.
What? Playing psychological games? That's awful.
Totally manipulative. Tried to break her. They even threatened her job, called her company, told her boss about the arrest, basically blackmailing her.
That's unbelievably cruel. The trauma.
Immense. She'd never needed anxiety meds before, but she had to start taking them just to sleep. Constant nightmares about being arrested, dragged to a cell, reliving it over and over.
And believing the police lies about Alberto blaming her. That must have destroyed their trust.
Completely. That, plus the sheer trauma, it led to the end of their relationship. 8 years together, gone. She just couldn't cope. The scars were too deep.
Just devastating collateral damage from this whole mess. Unbelievable.
Okay, so Alberto's in prison, dealing with this nightmare. But then the story takes another weird, almost suspicious turn.
How so?
The prison had this program, right? Good behavior inmates could get day release, a day or two a week out. The guards told Alberto, "Yeah, you're doing well. Maybe in a month or so you'll qualify."
Okay, standard procedure.
But then, end of February, just a few weeks after he got sentenced, he gets a visitor. Someone totally unexpected.
Was it?
He described him as a person who had many companies, looked powerful, well-connected. Alberto didn't know him from Adam.
Weird. What did this guy want?
He basically expressed shock that Alberto was in jail, said something like, "The government should hire people like you, not imprison them."
Huh. Flattering, I guess, but still strange. And then what?
This is the really weird part. Just a few days after that visit, boom, Alberto is granted the maximum release possible under the program, 72 hours a week, 3 full days out, way sooner than expected, and straight to the top level, skipping the usual steps.
Whoa. That does sound suspicious. Like maybe Mr. Big Company pulled some strings.
Makes you wonder, right? So Alberto gets his first taste of freedom, those 72 hours, and guess who shows up wherever he's staying?
The same mystery visitor.
Bingo. And this time he cuts right to the chase. No more flattery. He says, point blank, "I want you to hack this bank and steal money."
What? Just like that, offering him a job, a criminal job.
Yep. Had a whole elaborate plan worked out, knew the bank, the accounts, how much to take, direct solicitation for a major crime. Oh my God. Alberto must have been floored. What did he say?
He refused. Many times, he said. No way was he getting involved in that, especially now.
But the pressure must have been immense and terrifying.
Unbearable. His anxiety just shot through the roof. He's thinking, what if this bank gets hacked by someone else now? They'll blame me. This guy asked me to do it.
Yeah, he's already been wrongly convicted once. He'd be the prime suspect again.
Exactly. And ironically, he even noted the bank did have known security flaws, making it a plausible target anyway, which just made him more paranoid. He reported the guy to the prison guards, got prescribed Xanax for the stress.
Did that stop the guy?
Not a chance. Every week, during Alberto's 3 days out, this stranger was there, stalking him, following him around town, constantly pressuring him about the bank job, offering him riches.
That's relentless harassment. Alberto must have been losing his mind.
Totally. The fear was constant. What if they blame me? What if this guy decides I know too much and tries to silence me? The Xanax wasn't touching the sides anymore. He started taking more, desperately trying to quiet the panic. Oh no, self-medicating under extreme stress. That's dangerous.
Incredibly dangerous. He was just trying to find some calm, some escape from the fear. He actually started walking back towards the prison on one of these days out, feeling like it was safer inside.
That's heartbreaking, seeking refuge back in prison.
And then, disaster. He said, at one point, I closed my eyes, and the next thing was a beep, 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 beep. I was seeing a light.
He overdosed.
Yeah. Found unconscious, rushed to the hospital. They told him later, you were dead for 2 hours. He was in a coma. They managed to bring him back, but it was incredibly close. A near-fatal consequence of the psychological torture he was enduring.
Just unbelievable. The trauma just kept compounding. Meanwhile, was anything happening with his legal case?
Yes, thankfully. His lawyer never gave up, kept appealing the conviction. The first 2 appeals, rejected. The system was dug in.
But they kept trying.
Third time lucky. The lawyer called him, huge relief in his voice. Alberto, they ruled in your favor.
He won the appeal. He's free.
Almost. There was one condition.
Yeah.
$10,000 bail.
Okay, still a hurdle, but achievable.
His mom paid it immediately. No hesitation. And so, after 9 incredibly long, traumatic months, Alberto was finally released out of prison.
Wow, finally. Must have been an incredible feeling. But I bet the ordeal wasn't truly over.
Not by a long shot. He goes back to his apartment, the scene of the raid, and he's totally shocked by what he finds.
What? What was...
Stuff the police had apparently just left behind. Evidence they'd seized and presented in court. 29 hard drives, 3 laptops, 3 cellular phones, money, blank credit cards.
They just left evidence lying around after the trial. That's insane. What does that say about their process?
He said exactly that. It was crazy. That explains that the process was... They were not prepared for this or what the hell happened. It showed how sloppy the evidence handling was. They probably just turned drives on instead of properly cloning them, maybe corrupted data. Just incompetence.
Unbelievable. Is he still trying to get his stuff back?
Yeah.
The things they did keep?
Yeah, even 5 months after release, he was still fighting to get back computers, phones, his legitimate money, and especially his hardware Bitcoin wallets, which he said still had a lot of money on them.
And things like authentication tokens, things he needs for daily life.
Crucially, yes. His 2-factor authentication tokens were still confiscated, meaning he couldn't log into bank accounts, email, essential online services. The nightmare continued in practical ways.
It's endless frustration. Has he been able to move forward at all? Find work?
Amazingly, yes. Despite everything, his skills are undeniable. He'd received job offers, including one from a major security company for a pen testing role. His resilience is incredible. He said something like, I'm stronger than ever. I could spend 8 months in jail, so if I could do that, I could do anything in life.
That's a powerful mindset after everything he went through. But has the experience changed his approach to, well, to finding vulnerabilities?
Yes. And this is maybe the most chilling, most disheartening outcome for the security world. He shared this, and you could hear the sadness, the resignation.
What did he say?
After I got released, I found 2 critical security problems in 2 systems. I just found them, and I close my computer, and I say, okay, and there's no way I'm going to report this.
Oh, wow. He found critical flaws and just walked away. Didn't report them.
He didn't report them. Said he now always uses VPNs, proxies, covers his tracks completely, and after finding those flaws and deciding not to report, he said he slept like a baby.
That is deeply worrying. An ethical hacker scared into silence. That makes everyone less safe.
Exactly. When the good guys are punished for doing the right thing, the bad guys effectively win, but he is trying to make a difference now in a different way.
How so?
He's actively working to change the laws in Uruguay. advocating for legislation that clearly defines and protects ethical security research, distinguishing it from criminal hacking. Got a petition going, writing a book about his ordeal.
Trying to prevent this from happening to anyone else.
Yeah.
Using his nightmare for positive change.
Yeah, turning that pain into purpose. It's admirable.
His whole case just throws this fundamental cybersecurity paradox into such sharp relief, doesn't it?
Totally. On one hand, he had the skills, the knowledge, the tools, the opportunity and capability to commit the crime. And that very expertise was used against him in court.
Right. His strengths became evidence of guilt.
But what really sealed the deal, what made him look bad to the judge, the jury, the public, it was all the hacker stuff he had. The legitimate tools, the research gear, the mask.
Which brings us back to that core question. Why do people like us, security professionals whose job is to stop hackers, often seem to embrace the hacker culture? Use their tools, go to their conferences, wear their T-shirts?
It's a great question. And yeah, it hits close to home. I mean, my whole career is about keeping hackers out. You'd think I'd hate everything about hacker communities, right?
Oh, shut them down. Logically, yeah.
But I don't. I actually love going to hacker cons like DE-Fun or Black Hat. I meet incredibly smart people there, some who definitely walk the gray line, and we swap ideas, tactics. I blog about hacking techniques, teach offensive security. Heck, I own hacker T-shirts too. So why? Why do we play on both sides, metaphorically speaking?
Well, the source material had a few interesting analogies, like maybe it's the same reason cops watch crime shows, or firefighters think fire's kind of cool.
Yeah, the fire's badass line. There's an element of that, sure. The thrill, the excitement of being close to the action. We got into this field because it's fascinating, it's dynamic.
But there's a deeper professional reason too, isn't there?
Absolutely. The only way to be truly effective at stopping hackers is to understand them deeply. You have to think like them, know their tools, anticipate their moves. You have to immerse yourself in their world to build effective defenses against it.
It's like those quotes you mentioned, Ric Flair. To be the man, you got to beat the man. Know your opponent.
Right. Or The Godfather. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. Understand the threat intimately.
And that other one, there is no teacher but the enemy. You learn most from studying the adversary.
Exactly. It even reminds me of that line from Mr. Robot. To truly stop hackers, we must become hackers, the very thing we hate, and the thing that scares us the most. You have to embrace the mindset to defeat it.
Which creates this unavoidable thin gray line between the illegal hacker and the security pro. It's not always black and white.
Not at all. We share skills, curiosity, often tools. As the source said, maybe we all have a little bit of both inside of us.
And that complexity, that nuance, is exactly what the justice system, in Alberto's case, failed to grasp.
Utterly failed. The source put it perfectly. Nobody should be convicted of a crime because of what stickers they have or clothes they wear. They should only be convicted because they actually committed a crime.
But here, the system wasn't ready. They had this preconceived image of a hacker, saw the gear, heard the confession ignoring the coercion, and couldn't see the evidence, or lack thereof, clearly.
They mistook the tools of the trade for weapons, mistook professional curiosity for criminal intent.
It's like they saw long-lost twins, the illegal hacker and the security pro, and couldn't tell them apart.
Yeah. We have the same skills, same curiosity, sometimes look the same. It's a truly complicated relationship, and it was just too complicated for this judge in Uruguay to fully understand. And maybe too complicated for many courts worldwide right now.
Which is a scary thought for anyone working in cybersecurity research or ethical hacking.
It really is. And Alberto's story, ultimately, it forces us to think about some really uncomfortable, chilling questions, doesn't it?
Definitely. Like, what happens in our increasingly digital world when the protectors and the attackers look so similar? When the tools are the same.
Yeah. And what does justice even mean when the people judging the police, the prosecutors, the judges, don't understand the digital world they're trying to police? How can they tell intent from capability?
And the biggest worry, maybe, is how many other Alberto Hills are out there now. Ethical hackers, researchers, people trying to make things safer, who are now too scared to report what they find.
Choosing silence because they fear their skills, their knowledge, their very identity could be twisted and used against them, turned into evidence of criminality.
It's a huge potential loss for collective cybersecurity if the white hats stop reporting flaws.
Those flaws stay open for the black hats to exploit. It makes everyone more vulnerable. Alberto's deep dive really leaves you thinking about identity, perception, justice, and how unprepared our systems might be for the realities of the digital age.
A lot to chew on there. A really cautionary tale.